Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your interest in this topic. Today, I want to talk about something that's close to many of our hearts: relationships and love. You know, we're living in what feels like an epidemic of loneliness right now. So many people are living alone without a partner, and the numbers just keep growing. It seems like there are these invisible barriers stopping folks from connecting and building healthy, loving relationships. An important reason for this is that love is increasingly cooling in the hearts of many people, making the world more loveless and heartless. This stems from the deliberate, malice-driven interference of dark powers that do everything they can to prevent good souls who are meant for each other from coming together. They fight against the formation of such relationships with all their might, and they're very successful at it. Many good souls end up alone. But the world desperately needs intact, healthy, loving relationships. They're the foundation for peace in the world. Who doesn't dream of a happy relationship? Who wouldn't want to love and be loved in return? But there are so many obstacles, so many issues that get in the way of love. A lot of people, especially younger ones, are choosing to stay single these days. They say they feel better, more comfortable on their own. It's like you're rewarded for being alone and punished for trying to be in a relationship. Relationships, and even friendships, often feel like a burden instead of a blessing. Why is that? What's going wrong? When a relationship ends, partners often say things like, "We just don't fit anymore. We've grown apart." The love that was so strong at the start fades away, and respect gets lost along the way. But how does that happen? What goes wrong? Sometimes relationships feel downright cursed. People start showing traits or behaviors they never had when they were single. They clash, argue, hurt each other, even though they love each other and are trying their best. They say or do things they don't mean and regret it later, but can't stop it. Misunderstandings pile up, things go wrong, and no one knows why or how to fix it. Usually, we blame our partner or ourselves. But what if there's something else at play in the background, something most people never even consider? That's where spirituality comes in. It opens the door to a deeper understanding of these hidden causes we don't normally see or know about. I'm talking about spiritual beings that share our world and our lives without us realizing it. They accompany us and influence us all the time. Some mean well and want to help, but others are actively working against us, trying to disrupt and destroy our relationships. These harmful beings have an easier time because they're willing to use malicious tactics that good beings would never touch. They cleverly exploit their freedoms and abilities, and as long as we're clueless, they have the upper hand. There are different ways to deal with this. The teachings of Jesus Christ offer one powerful path. It's the truth. But not everyone who follows it ends up in a happy, fulfilling relationship. There are cases where it doesn't seem enough. And that's what this talk is for. It's also for people walking other paths. There's this old saying, "It might take a whole lifetime for a tree to grow, but chopping it down only takes a few hours." That doesn't just apply to trees. It holds true for all kinds of things in life, including our relationships. It's a natural law that plays right into the hands of these negative beings. It's easy to destroy, but so hard to build and maintain. But we're not completely helpless. If we recognize the presence of these malicious spiritual beings, learn who they are, and how they operate against us, we can start to break free and fight back. When a couple becomes aware of this common enemy, they can team up against it and have a real shot at resisting. At the very least, the blame game stops, because blaming each other is pure poison for any relationship. Instead of fighting one another, you become aware of the real, hidden causes. You learn to see through the game and work together smartly. You spot the weaknesses these beings exploit and can focus on improving yourselves and standing strong as a team. That's the key to overcoming these challenges, and it boosts your chances of a happy, lasting relationship by a ton. These negative forces build their tactics on two main pillars: attacking everything that helps a relationship and promoting everything that hurts it. Their main tool is pressure. in all sorts of forms. It can come through thoughts, ideas, memories, feelings, physical sensations, disruptions, or manipulations. They target our weak spots precisely because they know so much about us. They have an overview, a plan, and they stick to it. They understand how we tick and how to throw us into trouble. They know what makes a relationship thrive or fail, so they focus on key areas. Let me walk you through some of these. First off, good nonviolent communication is essential for any relationship to work. It lets you clear things up, reflect, and build understanding. So these negative spirits try to block or mess up communication so you don't understand each other, or worse, misunderstand. They have tricks for that. They can manipulate what you hear, making you think someone said something different from what they actually did. Maybe you hear a word that sounds similar, but changes the whole meaning in a bad way. These mix-ups can quickly lead to negative reactions, and they amp it up with stress hormones, thoughts, memories, or emotions to turn it into a full-blown fight. A big rush of adrenaline puts you in a tough spot. It clouds your thinking, your ability to listen, your awareness, self-control, and even your memory. When you're stressed and unaware like that, it's easy for them to take over and make you think, say, or do things that aren't really you. That's why after an argument, you hear things like, "I didn't mean it that way," or "I didn't want to say or do that." In those moments, it's not you acting, it's one of these beings acting through you, but you don't realize it and think it was all you. They can disrupt communication in other ways too. Maybe one partner gets super tired, so they can't focus or listen properly. They might make you yawn constantly, or let your eyes wander, like you're not interested. Or they flood you with thoughts and distractions, so you really can't concentrate. Meanwhile, they plant ideas in the other person's head that their partner doesn't care, pushing them toward disappointment, frustration, distance, anger, or rejection, whatever fits that person's tendencies. Remember, these negative beings are in both partners, working together on this. If they can, they'll pressure someone before a conversation even starts, so they avoid it altogether to dodge the stress. Ever gone into a talk feeling calm, only to have your hormones go haywire the second you're face to face? That's a classic sign of interference, sudden, unexplained, and often an abuse of their power over your body. Next, closeness and happy time together are huge for a strong relationship. So they work to prevent or ruin those moments. They might use the same tricks as with communication, but there are others. They encourage activities away from your partner, making you dive deeper into them and spend more time alone. Maybe the guy gets held up at work by a colleague or boss demanding overtime out of nowhere. Old friends suddenly call, wanting to chat, meet, or ask for help. The grandkid has an accident and needs a doctor visit, eating up an hour you could have spent together. Right in a cozy moment, the phone rings like crazy, or a neighbor shows up with an urgent issue. There are endless ways they can tie people up to cut down on couple time. If there's no specific hobby, they'll push you to find one. Ideally something that involves meeting others who could tempt you into infidelity. Then there are everyday little things, like room temperature, TV volume, air quality, sleep quality, or sleep schedules. They tune partners to opposite preferences, creating unsolvable conflicts that lead to unhappiness and disharmony. One's freezing while the other's too hot. The TV's too loud for one, too quiet for the other. One feels suffocated with windows closed. The other feels exposed with them open. One's a bit clumsy, always dropping things or bumping into stuff, while the other's super sensitive to noises and gets startled easily, making them want to pull away. Sleep cycles get mismatched. One's awake when the other sleeps, so you see each other less. Distance grows, frustration builds, and the relationship suffers. Sometimes they tweak your senses to create hypersensitivity or overload, making happy time together or deep talks nearly impossible. One can't sleep because the other talks, screams, or thrashes in their sleep. If that happens too often, you end up sleeping separately. That might not kill the relationship, but it loses a lot of closeness, which is vital for harmony. Physical closeness allows for a valuable soul-level exchange. They might keep someone awake by hypersensitizing them to the tiniest noises. The next day, you're exhausted, irritable, out of control, and more vulnerable to their influence. That bad state makes you look unreliable or unattractive, eroding respect and appreciation. It chips away at the relationship, weakening it. Causing tiredness and sleep deprivation is their top weapon. It's devastating and ruins people fast in every way. They also use a carrot and stick approach. Reward you with energy and good feelings when you do what they want. Punish you with fatigue, weakness, or pain when you don't. It's a super effective way to control someone. Another big target is lowering attractiveness. That depends on how someone is doing and how the other sees them. They might pressure one into eating habits that cause quick weight gain or bloating, then force out embarrassing moments at the worst times. They can mess with self-perception so you neglect grooming out of disgust. When picking clothes, they influence choices to be exactly what the partner hates, colors, styles, brands that make it hard to even look at you. And they try to keep these issues unspoken, letting them fester. For men, nothing kills attractiveness like low self-confidence, failure, or lack of success. They sabotage efforts so things flop, making him feel like a loser and lose respect from his partner. They might push the woman to criticize him, which tanks his self-worth and her respect, hurting them both. We all know about distorted self-image issues, especially in women, leading to low self-esteem or self-hatred. These are deliberately caused by beings to damage relationships. They also encourage comparisons with others, which can lead to mental strain that burdens the partnership. On the observer's side, they distort perceptions or focus on flaws. They amplify differences too. Based on likes, dislikes, and tendencies, they create tension. They make one want things the other hates, like smoking, certain music, or pets, or idolizing a celebrity, politician, or teacher that the other despises. They set up friendships with people the partner can't stand. They push one to do things the other finds totally unacceptable, for example, encouraging an extrovert toward a wild, social life while rewarding an introvert for withdrawing deeper into isolation. They use pressure to make behaviors unbearable. They spot potential conflicts from personality profiles, like beliefs, ideologies, principles, morals, or even language. Think vegetarianism versus meat eating, or debates over AI. Religion is full of opposing views that spark fights. They steer conversations to these hotspots and fan the flames, making people defend their views passionately and condemn the others. Since these beliefs feel sacred, it's easy to turn people against each other. Folks think they're doing the right thing, even proudly. Fears often play in, like needing to reject dangerous ideas for protection, which can unleash aggression. They attack the basics too. No trust, no love. Trust shatters with disappointment, and even one slip can cause permanent damage. So they repeatedly try to lead partners into betrayals. Infidelity is the most effective, but lies, cheating, stealing, or breaking promises work too. They probe all insecurities. For those with past hurts, they intensify doubts and mistrust. You don't even need a real betrayal. A suspicion or accusation can wreck things. They build pressure with ideas, hunches, false observations, wrong conclusions, and emotions like sadness, frustration, or fear. One trick is pushing someone to act suspiciously, like seeming interested in others. It doesn't have to be real, it just needs to look that way. Another is forcing a man's gaze toward attractive women. It's hard to resist without consciously fighting it, like staring at the ground, which looks weird but works. Since few know this, it reliably causes frustration. Security, stability, reliability, and commitment are key for lasting relationships. Both need to feel safe from betrayal. They provoke jealousy and fears by making situations tempting, like pushing a woman to dress provocatively, attracting attention that unsettles her partner, weakening him and reducing his attractiveness. That attention can lower her appreciation for him and foster selfishness, making her less willing to work on issues, compromise, or stick it out. They control this via self-esteem. She only feels good in revealing clothes. Otherwise, they make her feel ugly and insecure. They exploit triggers, those sore spots from past pains or disappointments. These are our emotional weak points. Negative beings hunt them down and use them against us. They know how we react and push those buttons through our partners. Early on, when you don't know each other well, it's easy for them to make you say or do hurtful things that trigger bad reactions. They also stir up unrealistic expectations, leading to constant disappointment. You see this even before dating, where people give up searching altogether. In a relationship, it's like an open wound that won't heal. Overall, they aim to drag at least one partner down into failure, weakness, dysfunction, unreliability, or ugliness. Why stay with someone who's hit rock bottom? They attack every aspect, making it look like the person's own fault through self-sabotage like sleep deprivation or bad habits. After a breakup, you often see quick recoveries, as if nothing happened, because the beings back off, letting good influences take over. Symptoms that baffled doctors can vanish like a miracle, which makes sense from a spiritual view. So, that's a broad overview of the arsenal these negative forces have to torpedo, wear down, and doom relationships. It's overwhelming power. When you consider it all, you see how vulnerable we are if we're naive about it. On the flip side, there are good-hearted beings who love us and support us as much as they can. They're the counterforce, and their help often grows with the negative interference. Otherwise, they're respectful, following rules and laws in spirit, unlike the malicious ones, who exploit every right without morals. How they work, think, and how we can make it easier for them to help is a topic for another time. Now, how do we defend against all this? It's not easy. It takes strong will, persistence, and patience. But it's worth it. You learn and grow along the way. The key is a strong, loving connection to our Father God. He's the ultimate power of love, and He'll help if we hold on to Him. That includes spiritual practices, prayers, and self-work, replacing bad habits with virtues step by step. Evil can only be overcome if you want to become a better person and act on it. The Christian teachings are a great guide, full of truth and direction. I hope this overview has inspired you, given you new insights you can use. If you'd like to chat about it, drop me a message. I'd love to hear from you and respond. Thanks again for listening.